And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Y'all, this morning, your girl, Fani Willis, she has to be feeling like, oh my gosh, the tables have turned, the tides have turned, everything for Fani done turned, y'all. In case you didn't hear, just yesterday, just last night, it was revealed that the federal government is subpoenaing Fani Willis's travel records. And in case you don't know, you might say, so what? They want to know where Fani went. Who cares? Y'all, this is all lining up for probably some kind of prosecution of Fani. Now, I will tell you this. I did not see this coming. I did not see any kind of criminal prosecution of Fani Willis coming. I just didn't see it. I thought they would take her down with the Nathan Wade situation. They already got her kicked off of the Trump case. The Trump RICO that she launched is more or less over. It's more or less done. So she got kicked off of that case. She's going through all kinds of issues with her own state senate that are subpoenaing her, that want to question her. She's just battled and mired down, and she's just mired down in a lot of muck of her own making in her own state. And I didn't see that she might be prosecuted by the federal government, but it looks like she will. So we're going to take a look at the report that Fani is now under subpoena. And we're going to see how not only might the federal government be gearing up for a prosecution of Fani Willis, but that Nathan Wade, his testimony may come back to haunt her. Let's take a look. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement.
But we begin tonight with breaking news out of the nation's capital. The New York Times reporting tonight that the Justice Department has subpoenaed travel records from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Those records reportedly from around the time of last year's election when Willis traveled overseas. The Times says it's part of a federal grand jury subpoena, and grand jury proceedings are secretive by law. DA Willis charged President Donald Trump in an election interference case, which accused him and his allies of trying to steal votes in an attempt to win the election. A state appeals court said she was disqualified from overseeing the case due to a personal relationship with the attorney she hired to run it. Last week, the Georgia State Supreme Court upheld the decision. Now, we have reached out to the Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and Willis's attorney. So far, there has been no response. We'll keep following the story and bringing you any updates as soon as we get them.
All right, so that report, it seemed kind of neutral. It seemed like it was just a news report. Now we're going to take a look at the report where they say what this is all about. It's all about Trump going after Fani, according to the news, y'all. Again, I had not had this on my mind, but apparently that is what this is. So let's take a look.
A sign that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is President Donald Trump's next target. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. The Justice Department just subpoenaed her travel records. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. And Niamani, this comes just one day after the indictment of another one of President Trump's political enemies.
Yeah, just yesterday, former FBI Director James Comey was indicted in connection to the Russian interference investigation in the 2016 election. But according to the New York Times, this inquiry into Fani Willis's travel records show that the Justice Department may be investigating another one of President's old enemies. Now, the inquiry is being led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia. They're seeking Willis's travel records from around the time of last year's election. It's unclear if Willis is the target of the inquiry or if she will face any charges. Willis brought charges against Trump and 18 co-defendants, accusing them of attempting to reverse the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. She was officially removed from the case last week due to a personal relationship she had with a lawyer who was also working on the case. President Trump called it a great decision and said she should be prosecuted.
It was a great decision. It was a rigged case to start off with. It's great. The court just ruled that she is a disaster. She should be put in jail. She's a criminal. Fani Willis is a criminal.
A spokesperson for Willis told the New York Times that they are not aware of any investigation, and she maintains she did nothing wrong. We reached out to both Willis and the U.S. Attorney's Office for comment. We are waiting to hear back. Live outside of the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
Now, as I told you, Nathan Wade previously, the people on Capitol Hill, the Congress people, they called him on over. He said, "Come on over, Nathan. We want to talk to you." Now, this was a closed door hearing, so that's why we don't have video of it. You know, I wish we did, but we don't. But we do have reports of what happened in the hearing. And in the hearing, Nathan Wade, he admitted to having met with the White House. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean that Nathan Wade met with the White House? Well, if you remember Judicial Watch has been trying to piece together whether or not Fani Willis was colluding with the January 6th committee against Donald Trump, right? So Nathan Wade, he's this prosecutor. Fani Willis selects him to prosecute Trump. He's a local prosecutor in Georgia. Fani Willis not only selects him to prosecute Trump, but she also selects him to give him some additional special attention, if you know what I mean. So what is he doing meeting with people in the White House? Like, did he previously have White House connections? Did he previously have any kind? Was he chumming up and palling around in boys with people in the White House, or was this somehow in connection to that Trump prosecution? That's the question. Let's take a look.
Well, former Georgia Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade is now admitting to several meetings with White House officials during his time on the state's Trump case. Now, that's coming from a newly released transcript of Wade's deposition on Capitol Hill last week. Wade resigned from the Trump probe back in March after his romantic relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis came to light. Mike Emanuel is live in Washington with the latest details. Mike.
Emily, good afternoon. In his meeting with lawmakers and congressional staff, Nathan Wade's memory was a little fuzzy. Wade was asked, quote, "Did the interview with D.C. White House, to your recollection, involve anyone from the Department of Justice?" Answer, "I don't recall." On another matter, Wade was a little more clear when he was asked, quote, "And did anyone in the White House direct you or, to your knowledge, anyone else at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to file charges against Donald Trump?" Answer, "No, ma'am." Wade was on Capitol Hill 1 week ago for that questioning. In May 2022, Wade billed for a meeting with the White House counsel's office at his hourly rate of $250. But when asked about it, Wade could not detail the purpose of the meeting. Wade used some version of "I don't recall" more than 30 times when questioned by lawmakers and staff during closed-door testimony. The House Judiciary Chairman says Wade's 2022 visit to Washington sounds very political.
So Jim Jordan, who apparently was there, Jim Jordan's like, "Yo, man, what's this all about, man? This isn't adding up." So this was previously, y'all. This was about a year ago. So all of this has been unfolding slowly but surely, and now it looks like the Trump administration is trying to put another piece to the puzzle.
You got the whole thing with Nathan Wade, taxpayer money going to Nathan Wade. He was traveling to Washington, meeting with the DOJ, the White House, the January 6th committee, all in this effort to go after President Trump.
Wade left the Trump case due to his romantic relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Willis warned Wade against revealing case details to lawmakers, noting the risk of harming ongoing legal proceedings. The newly released transcript says Wade met with Biden administration staff on at least 2 occasions during the Fani Willis probe into former President Trump. Emily?
Mike, thank you.
Now, y'all, that same Jim Jordan that you just saw there, okay? He also subpoenaed information from Fani's office, and Fani told her office not to comply with him. I'm going to show you what's currently outstanding. Y'all know Fani's off the Trump case. We don't have to loop into that. What I'm going to loop into is Jim Jordan subpoenaing not just information from Fani herself, but also from her office. And Fani actually told her office not to comply. And I think that's a lot more relevant to this story because that's where we stand today. That's where we stand today. So I'm going to loop into that so y'all can take a look at that. Let's check it out. What we have right now is that the House Judiciary Committee presses Fulton DA's office for records and warns of action. So while your girl Letitia is the subject of a potential criminal investigation, it looks like she's being investigated for mortgage fraud. Your girl Fani is also being investigated by the United States House of Representatives. Let's take a look. The House Judiciary Committee, led by Representative Jim Jordan out of Ohio, is escalating its ongoing investigation into what it calls politically motivated prosecutions, focusing on Fulton County District Attorney's Office and its criminal case against President Donald Trump. Now, this article says that the committee announced Thursday that it continues to seek testimony and documents from 4 senior employees of District Attorney Fani Willis's office, including Chief Senior District Attorney Donald Wakeford. This marks the latest chapter in an inquiry that began in December 2023, when the committee opened its probe into the Georgia election interference case and Willis's alleged coordination. Now, that word coordination, sometimes people say collusion, okay? Coordination/collusion with the now defunct January 6th Select Committee. The committee's interest centers on a December 17, 2021 letter from Willis to then January 6th Committee Chairman Representative Bernie Thompson, in which she reportedly requested access to transcripts, emails, and travel records. Members of her office later traveled to D.C. Now, if y'all remember, Nathan Wade said he went to D.C. You know, that's her boyfriend that she was paying out of the public coffers. And then in turn, I shouldn't say in turn. And then also he was buying her gifts and taking her on trips, supposedly with his own money, but who knows where the money came from, right? I mean, the money at that point may have been fungible and commingled. But anyway, members of her office later traveled to D.C. at taxpayer expense to meet with committee staff and review non-public materials, according to testimony from FCDAO Assistant DA Dexter Bond. Y'all remember Dexter Bond? If y'all don't know who Dexter Bond is, y'all should look him up. Y'all want a good laugh? That guy, just look him up. So Chairman Jordan and others argue that such coordination raises questions about the impartiality of the case against Trump and warrants federal legislative scrutiny. Now, y'all, the case against Trump is pretty much over at this point. If you remember, Fani and her entire office were taken off of that case because of the appearance of impropriety, where she had a boyfriend that she hired as special counsel. Again, we said already that was Nathan Wade. So she's been taken off the case. The case is pretty much dead at this point, but it looks like Jim Jordan wants to continue to investigate and see how it all came to be, and maybe if Fani and her office did anything inappropriate. Now we talked about this previously, y'all. Fani is facing investigation from different angles. Jim Jordan and the United States House of Representatives is one angle. She also is facing inquiry by her own state Senate that has subpoenaed her to testify and said that if she does not come to testify. Now, remember, previously she did not testify, and said if she does not come to testify that they may actually lock her up. She's been ordered to pay thousands of dollars to different organizations for failing to do her job properly. So it's Fani she's just not having an easy go of it. It seems like much of this is due to her own actions and decision making, though. So now what we're going to do is run into a previous report so that you can get more context about this United States House of Representatives request for information. And you're going to see that Fani has already said she's telling her people not to comply. She's telling her people, or we could say to comply in just a limited way. Let's take a look. It says, read the letter from Fani T. Willis to Representative Jim Jordan, y'all. That's exactly what we're about to do right now. Now, as you may remember, y'all, Fani Willis she's under scrutiny by her own people in Georgia who would like to talk to her about the relationship she had with Nathan Wade while she pursued Donald Trump. Nathan Wade being a special prosecutor that she hired and paid out of the public coffers, while at the same time getting it on with him behind the scenes. And so now people in the United States Congress, particularly Representative Jim Jordan, he'd also like to have a word with Fani Willis and people from her office, basically around the same kind of thing. He would like to know about their investigation into Donald Trump. Now, just yesterday, I said Fani has been laying low, y'all. Maybe she can just lay low, let it blow over. I thought she was laying low. I haven't seen anybody else talking about this, y'all. This is from the New York Times. This is the letter that Fani wrote back to Representative. This is United States Congressman Jim Jordan, y'all. I thought Fani was going to take the path of, let me just play nice, but let's read through this letter, y'all. We're going to read through the whole letter. It's not that long. I'm just going to get right into it, and we'll see what Fani said to Representative Jim Jordan. Dear Mr. Jordan, yet again, I am writing you in my official capacity as District Attorney of Fulton County and on behalf of my office regarding requests made by the House Judiciary Committee to several Fulton County employees asking for documents and testimony related to their work for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Over the course of several years now, I have explained to you that the core of your requests, information about an active criminal investigation, threatens the integrity of an ongoing criminal matter, ignores centuries of precedent about the limits of congressional power, and tramples over foundational principles of state sovereignty and federalism. Let us speak plainly, Mr. Jordan. Your so-called, quote, investigation, end quote, into the office's contacts with the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol has never been anything more than a dangerous attempt performed at the behest of those under investigation to obstruct our office from an ongoing criminal prosecution and investigations. The case this office brought was after months of careful deliberation and investigation by my office and 2 grand juries impaneled under Georgia law. The federal government has no right to obstruct state and local investigations and prosecutions because you want to appease defendants whom a grand jury has found probable cause to indict by interfering in their ongoing prosecution. With regard to the document requests, you have asked FCDA employees to produce documents to you that the office and I have already explained that we cannot disclose because we must avoid any actions that could potentially compromise an ongoing investigation and prosecution by this office. As I wrote to you a few weeks ago, the communications you are seeking, to the extent they exist, are directly related to Fulton County's ongoing investigation of several individuals pursuant to Georgia criminal statutes. These individuals were properly investigated and indicted by a grand jury consistent with Georgia criminal procedure. Prosecution of these charges is ongoing. Your requests also exceed the limits of congressional authority and violate core constitutional principles of separation of powers, state sovereignty, and federalism as set forth in my prior letters. At its core, you seek documents and information revealing how attorneys in my office conducted an investigation that ultimately led to a grand jury indictment. Any such documents are protected from disclosure by attorney-client privilege, work product privilege, and other common law protections. As I have already noted in a prior letter to you, the preservation of the secrecy of grand jury proceedings is a well-recognized principle in Georgia, as well as in the federal legal system. Moreover, requests for documents regarding my office's preparation for grand jury proceedings cut to the core of the deliberative process privilege, which generally protects pre-decisional documents generated by government agencies as they seek to advance their missions. FCDA employees are not permitted to waive privilege over information that they obtained as part of their work for FCDA. Accordingly, I have instructed FCDA staff not to provide your committee with any documents that remain in the custody of the office to which the office and I have already asserted privilege and have determined that we cannot produce. Furthermore, as the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, you do not need to ask attorneys in Georgia to obtain potential communications with other congressional committees. The records of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol remain with the House of Representatives and within the House's access and control. Members of the Select Committee are your colleagues, and some still work in the same building as you. But instead, you have chosen to focus a multi-year inquiry on the actions of our office. Your only goal is to stop the pursuit of criminal justice by our office by targeting our employees, honorable public servants, and heroic Americans who, like me, should be like I, who, like me, have put themselves at risk to defend our democracy. Now, at the pinnacle of power, you are harassing them with frivolous requests instead of using your position to better our communities. It also bears mention that your latest request also makes clear that you were never interested in obtaining information about the FCDA's use of federal funds, as you have previously asserted. That line of inquiry was nothing more than a smokescreen designed to harass this office and distract from our focus on our core prosecutorial duties. Were you truly interested in ferreting out prosecutorial misconduct and corruption, you would stop wasting taxpayer money on your baseless pursuit of my office and instead turn your attention to the Trump administration's Justice Department. Just last week, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Danielle Sassoon, received a corrupt quid pro quo involving acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, who ordered the SDNY to dismiss charges without prejudice against New York City's mayor. As you are no doubt aware, Ms. Sassoon, along with at least 6 other senior level Justice Department officials, resigned rather than carry out the unlawful order. Where's your outrage about this perversion of justice? For my entire tenure as District Attorney of Fulton County, I have sought to honor my oath to the people of Georgia and to defend our shared multiracial democracy, which emerged after centuries of racist violence and systemic oppression of Black, Brown, and Native peoples, women, religious minorities, LGBTQ plus people, and many others. Come what may, I will not stop defending my vision of a diverse, equitable, and inclusive society governed not by tyrants, but by rule of law. Accordingly, I have told my staff that they are allowed to speak with you voluntarily about matters that are not covered by privileges held by the office. Consistent with our direction to Attorney Nathan Wade, whom you have already interviewed, the FCDA will not waive any applicable legal protections or privileges about information relating to its work on ongoing criminal matters, including our effort to hold individuals accountable for their role in an attempted coup. Sir, in closing, let me suggest you review the oath you swore to as a member of Congress, as required of you by Article 6 of the Constitution. That oath requires you to, quote, support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and, quote, bear true faith and allegiance to that Constitution. You are confused. Do you understand your oath, responsibilities, and duties? That oath is not to those who commit crimes while abusing their power by seeking to undermine the very Constitution you are sworn to defend. Rather than honor and uphold the oath you took, you have chosen to expend your time attempting to bully me, which is a complete waste of your time. Might I suggest that instead of attempting to disrupt this office's work protecting the people of Fulton County, that you celebrate Black History Month by visiting children in your district to teach them about the many contributions African Americans have made to this country, including those who have advanced democracy by successfully advocating that this nation live up to the ideals that everyone is equal before the law and everyone has the right to have their voice heard through exercising their right to vote. That would be a much more productive use of your time. Wow. Y'all, I mean, whoa, woo. All right, y'all. So Fani's being subpoenaed, her travel records. It looks like there is some kind of prosecution of her that's lining up. And who knows where this is going to go. This is a shock to me. I hadn't even thought about this, frankly. So I would like to know your comments. Do you think Fani's going to be prosecuted? If so, for what crime? What is the crime that she would be prosecuted for? That's my question. Let me know down in the comments, y'all. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people with their retirement, if you have a retirement, y'all, you want to protect it from the upsies, downsies, the roundsies, and the roundsies, hit that link down in the description, the very first link, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Y'all, get information on how to protect your retirement with gold, the oldest, strongest, longest, hardest money that mankind has ever known. And call our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank you for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.